either stance, that's a real problem for Canelo because he will just be switching, and you don't know where the shots are coming from, and it's so easy for him to do so. And I think the thing that really made me appreciate him is there's many times where I've seen people try and trade with him and slug it out, and
I don't know if it's reachable for him. If anybody can do it, it's him, and I'm contradicting myself. I just don't see it happening, you know. Could it happen? Yeah, it's boxing.
Terence Crawford is reportedly training with Gennady Golovkin in preparation for his showdown with Canelo Alvarez, creating a major buzz across the boxing scene. The two are rumored to be working together on refining Crawford's power, timing, and overall ring intelligence. With Golovkin's veteran experience behind him, this collaboration could give Crawford the extra boost he needs as he gets ready for what may be the toughest fight of his career. When experts study Terence Crawford, they don't view him as just another fighter. They see a rare talent who blends speed, timing, and a unique ability to read his rivals. Crawford's reputation comes from his smooth stance switching and mid-fight adjustments, a trait mastered by very few boxers. His fight IQ is often described as genius level, as he can dissect opponents with precision. Analysts believe his adaptability and awareness in the ring make him stand out, separating him from most in the sport today. To many, Crawford is not just great, but remarkable in how he controls bouts with intelligence and strategy.
But if there is anyone who can do it, it's Terence Bud Crawford, a man who survived getting shot in the head, for God's sakes. Like, he is not normal. He is a wizard of boxing. He's got genius IQ, one of the smartest boxers I've ever seen, and he can do it all. He's had over 40 fights. I can't ever remember seeing him, like, shook or worried. I mean, this is, you know, trained killers trying to take his head off, and he never looks out of pocket. He is like a rapper who just turns up and figures out his lines on the fly and still makes it sound like the best song you've ever heard. Like, that's how amazing he is. Like, I've never seen anyone who can fight out both stances the way Crawford can. I mean, he looks so natural in either stance. That's a real problem for Canelo because he will just be switching, and you don't know where the shots are coming from, and it's so easy for him to do so. And I think the thing that really made me appreciate him is there's many times where I've seen people try and trade with him and slug it out, and you know, when they stand in the pocket and they just go for it. And even in those situations where usually both of you are getting hit, he still manages to hit and not get hit. It's like he's in the Matrix. And this isn't against average fighters. This is against the best in the world at 4 different weight classes, and he's made it look easy pretty much every time he's moved up. I think in the Errol Spence fight, that was a fight that was supposed to be 50-50. The pressure was on. A lot of people thought he was going to lose that fight. He made that look like a boxing lesson, and the reason was when Errol Spence would throw a punch and not get out of the pocket quick enough, he would make them pay every single time. And if people are worried about Canelo's feet being slow, if there's anyone who can punish that, it's Terence Bud Crawford. In terms of weaknesses, these guys, they don't really have weaknesses. They've just got things that they're maybe not as amazing at. That's the level we're talking here. Canelo has been accused of being a bit of a slow starter, and, you know, that could be a problem in this fight.
Michael Fox emphasized a key factor in the upcoming matchup between Terence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez, noting that Crawford's only true disadvantage lies in weight. Stepping up against a naturally bigger and stronger Canelo brings clear challenges. The size gap could let Canelo apply physical pressure, limiting Crawford in strength battles. Still, Fox pointed out that aside from this, Crawford has the edge in nearly every technical category. His footwork creates angles that unsettle aggressive foes. His jab is crisp and accurate, setting up combinations while disrupting rhythm. His timing, often called elite, allows him to exploit even the smallest gaps. Most importantly, his ring IQ ranks among the very best today. Crawford adjusts seamlessly mid-fight, shifting strategies as needed. Fox argues these tools make him a nightmare for Canelo despite the weight gap. If Crawford can absorb the physicality and prevent Canelo from controlling with power, his skill set could shine. In that case, Crawford has every chance to outbox and defeat the Mexican icon.
I would like to see Bud pull it off. The thing about it is, I think the only disadvantage Bud really has is the weight. I think he has all the skills and attributes that are required to beat a guy like Canelo Alvarez. Canelo's kind of flat-footed. You've seen the fights with Bivol and Laura and even School, who didn't do much, but you see that movement irritates irritates Canelo. You know what I'm saying? When dudes that know how to control the range and stuff like that, he didn't look like the world beater. You know what I mean? The motherfucker that sat in front of him, them dudes that sat in front of him, we see what he did with him. You know what I mean? But guys like Bivol, who was bigger, but he bouncing in and out. Laura, motherfucking landing counter lefts, and he's circling out, and that shit was fucking with Canelo. Floyd, you know, it probably killed Canelo if Floyd was always only an inch away.
Yep.
Just a little step back, you know what I'm saying? And he's like, God damn, I feel like I missed by a mile.
That's crazy because he didn't use no movement.
Right.
He stood in the pocket on him.
Right. Yeah. I mean, Triple G was. You said G? Triple G?
No, I said Floyd didn't use no movement.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No. Yeah. He was always where he needed to be in the ring. He was always where he needed to be in the ring. I'm in there to land, then I'm just right here. In there to land, but now I'm right here. It just Floyd was a bad motherfucker, Joe. Like that's what we know. Gotta understand. Floyd was a bad motherfucker. But the movement, having good feet under you, helps against Canelo.
When new training photos of Terence Crawford's body appeared online, Showbiz the adult reacted with both curiosity and doubt. The pictures showed Crawford in peak condition, with a sharp and defined, but the question immediately raised was whether these images were authentic or digitally altered. Some fans suspected the photos might have been exaggerated to rattle Canelo Alvarez before their clash. Showbiz noted that while Crawford has always been dedicated to training, the sudden changes sparked debate. This response highlights how closely fans and analysts scrutinize every detail, especially when a mega fight of this scale is approaching.
And shredded wheat and amazing is this photo photoshopped, because this photo that Ilya Tapora posted of Terence Bud Crawford is the latest photo we've seen, and he looks just less impressive in this photo. Well, the question is really, when were the photos taken? All right, so when you look at this photo and you look at this photo and look at this video of Terence Crawford with His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh as Terence Crawford is working out, supposedly just yesterday, right? Which one is Terence Crawford's latest appearance? Because even though this is the latest photo you've seen, doesn't mean this is when the photo was taken. The only reason why people are confused is because this latest photo seems to have been taken in Vegas. And we're approaching fight week and Terence Crawford is already in Vegas. Hence the video with him with His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh in Vegas. Now, let me explain all of this. Well, first you gotta look at the hairstyles, right? Terence Crawford in this photo from Ilya Tapora, his hairstyle is totally different than this hairstyle here with Terence Crawford shredded wheat. It is also different than his hairstyle that he has here in the gym with His Excellency Turki Al-Sheikh. You can tell because you can tell how the hair braid, like how it's parted in this photo, and in this photo, they're more parted down the middle, where this video, it's slanted. It's in like a diagonal slant, which I'm thinking is his latest.
Adam Smith gave a thorough breakdown of why he leans toward Terence Crawford over Canelo Alvarez, stressing that timing will be the key factor. Smith explained that boxing isn't only about ability, but also about facing opponents at the right or wrong stage of a career. He noted that Canelo has endured years of brutal wars with elite rivals, which have inevitably worn on his body. While Canelo remains highly skilled, Smith believes his speed, sharpness, and explosiveness are not what they once were. On the other hand, Crawford is entering what many consider the prime of his career. He carries momentum, is undefeated, and shows no decline in hunger or drive. He fights with the energy of a man still eager to prove himself on the grandest stage. Smith argued this alignment of peak form and ambition favors Crawford. In his eyes, the timing of this matchup works against Canelo, giving Crawford the perfect chance to secure victory and cement his greatness.
To be in Vegas to see, I think Terence Crawford beats Canelo, and I think that it's going to be his coming out party. I'd love to be there, and Canelo, of course, an all-time great. Yeah, but listen, I love Ireland, and I'm pleased to be in Belfast with JabZone for Crawford and Golovkin. There's something about an all-Irish fight which is fantastic, and it was great and controversial first time around. It's even bigger now, so yeah, let's chat over there and get on with it.
Just a quick one on Canelo Crawford. I heard you pick Crawford. You just said it there. How much of that is down to timing and how much of that is down to styles?
A bit of both. I think Canelo is approaching 70 fights. He's been beaten before. Crawford remains undefeated. I think that the jump up is big, but I think he's got the speed, the IQ, the experience, the know-how to be able to handle it. If he's switched on for every minute of every round, I think he wins, and I think he announces himself to the world on Netflix. And I think he deserves it. I think Terence Crawford's only been really known to the trade fans. Canelo, obviously, a bigger name, bigger star, and look, I fancy Crawford in this fight. Look, nothing against Canelo. Maybe it's a little bit of time in the skull fight. I don't know, but there's plenty that fancy Canelo be too big, too strong, too good. It's Crawford for me.
On Talk Sport Boxing, the discussion over Canelo Alvarez versus Terence Crawford grew heated. Some analysts went as far as to claim that if Crawford were to suffer a one-sided loss to Canelo, his days at the very top level could be over. The panel weighed both perspectives, with one side convinced that Canelo's size and relentless pressure would break Crawford down, while the other argued that Crawford's skill set and ring IQ could expose Canelo's flaws. The back and forth reflected how divided opinions are in the boxing community. What stood out most was the bold suggestion that a defeat might end Crawford's run in marquee fights.
So yeah, there's a big argument that Canelo Alvarez starts the favourite going into this one because he's the super middleweight world champion. Bud Crawford jumping up to two weight divisions, and he's jumped up a weight division before that as well, beating Errol Spence. You just look at it and go, it's a massive ask here for Terence Crawford. Something inside me tells me he wins, and we'll get into that later on.
Well, we'll talk about that in a minute, but in the meantime, Canelo, as ever, has left no stone unturned. He's been training at altitude in Sierra Nevada, looking to get the maximum body stamina and preparation advantage. It's something that he's used to, and of course he's going to effectively be the home fighter because Tex-Mexers will be up in their numbers from Texas. Also, Hispanic fans from all around the United States. The fight is being made on Mexican Independence Day. I don't think you have to be a great crystal ball gazer to know where the bulk of the crowd is going to be rooting when they step out inside those ropes and their names are bellowed out by the ringside announcer afterwards.
Listen, even though the fight happens in America and Terence Crawford is American, it is going to be so pro-Mexican there, because Canelo is accepted. He's like an adopted son there, and Mexican Independence Day, all of that goes so much in favour of Canelo Alvarez. You go, actually, the guy that's a four-division world champion and a superstar of the sport and American will start probably the fan favourite will definitely be Canelo Alvarez.
Yeah, definitely. And he's been training with somebody, sparring with a man who he thinks replicates Crawford's style in sparring many rounds against Yaron Ennis.
George Ferocious Cambosos Jr. offered his perspective by stressing Canelo's pressure-based style. He explained that Canelo is at his best when he closes the gap, cuts off the ring, and unloads heavy combinations. Cambosos underlined that Canelo's biggest strength is his ability to throw precise, powerful shots while keeping constant forward momentum. He believes Canelo will look to use this strategy against Crawford, forcing him to fight while retreating for much of the bout. The main test for Crawford will be absorbing those punishing punches without letting Canelo control the tempo. For Cambosos,
Canelo is the pressure fighter. He's got to put the pressure on Crawford. He has to be able to land his big shots. He's seasoned at fighting at super middleweight. He's fought as high as light heavyweight, as we know. So he is accustomed to the bigger punches, the bigger shots. I don't think Crawford can really land anything that's going to trouble a guy like Canelo Alvarez. Canelo is such a good pressure fighter, and for him to be successful in this fight, he needs to be able to really cut the ring off very, very well with a guy like Terence Crawford. Now, we saw in Canelo's last fight against Skull that he was not able to really cut him off well. So that has caused a lot of doubters, and people starting to think, Crawford will have that edge in the footwork and the movement department. But, when you're fighting a big fight, you're going to get up for a big fight, and he's really going to be at his best against a guy like Terence Crawford. So I believe he will cut the ring off, very, very well. And for him to be successful, he has to land shots on Crawford, put him in two frames of minds, make Crawford double think every time Canelo goes in and wants to land shots and land shots. Now, a guy like Crawford is so slick, so dynamic, able to punch you from different angles and different stances. We see he switches from orthodox to southpaw. He might fight the whole fight in southpaw. So he's so dynamic. Now, he's the kind of guy that he's going to put Canelo in two kind of frames of mind.
Some experts point back to Terence Crawford's showing against Israil Madrimov, noting that he did not appear fully comfortable at the higher weight. They argue that moving up again to face Canelo Alvarez represents an even bigger jump, one that could present serious difficulties. Against Madrimov, Crawford was still adjusting to the division, and his power did not look as commanding. The worry is that against Canelo, a naturally larger and stronger opponent, this limitation could become even more evident. Analysts who share this view believe that the size and weight disadvantage might neutralize Crawford's usual strengths, making this gamble particularly risky.
But a lot of people feel Crawford actually lost that fight. So we've got Crawford coming in off the back of, well, his previous two fights. One of them was a brilliant performance. The other one was a bit lackluster by his very high standards, albeit against a very, very good fighter. But you could see in that fight that the size of Israil Madrimov, bear in mind, 154 pounds, Israil Madrimov still fights at 154 pounds. This is super middleweight, 2 divisions more. And we've seen Canelo when he's brought someone up from 154 who was a decent size 154 pounder in Charlo. But Crawford's not going to do what Charlo did. Charlo fought like, someone who was completely scared out of his mind and just knew he wasn't going to win but didn't want to get stopped. That was really the look we were getting from Charlo. Crawford is not going to do that. He's a very proud man. He doesn't know what it's like to be defeated. He fully believes in himself. And the shape he looks in phenomenal shape. He's coming into this fight fully believing that he can win this. And that right there is the mindset you need to have. It won't guarantee you victory, but it will give you a better chance than if you went in there thinking, right, just survive and see what happens. I do think that the size difference will be something. Although saying that, look at Canelo Alvarez, we look at his most recent performances, and when's the last fight from Alvarez that's really made you stand up and take note? Caliplant, Billy Joe Saunders, maybe those 2 fights, they were good performances. Lost, clearly, the Dimitri Bivol fight, although it's very close here, it was on the scorecards, it was a clear loss. Against Triple G, it was just a meh performance. Likewise against John Ryder, Charlo, I won't even talk about that. Munguia, it was a bit meh. Berlanga, it was like, okay, and show me something.
That wraps up today's breakdown. Be sure to stay tuned for more updates, analysis, and reactions as the countdown to Canelo Alvarez versus Terence Crawford continues.